everybody, it's me, Tokkuri Yashi. How is everybody doing? We are back again for Clan Battle Ichigatsu. January Clan Battle 2025 is upon us. So let's go in and have a look at this month's Clan Battle, at the bosses that we're fighting, and the teams that we can use to take them on. We're going to be having a look at Warrior Chef's Google Docs as well as the Aquarius site this time. So both will be linked in the description. So here we go with our first boss this month, the Greater Golem, who likes cheese. The cheese Greater Golem. Yeah, anyway, enough of that. The cheese Greater Golem is our first boss. As you can see here, it is weak to fire and to wind. So let's have a little look then at some simple set and forget comps for the Greater Golem. I'm going to keep calling him Greater Goblin. We've had that one before. This time it's the Golem. And as we can see here, we have got a, well, this just shows how good Xmas Lariat is. We're going to have a physical fire team, and we're just going to stick Xmas Lariat on there, which we know is a magical DPS. But there are a few variations of this. Wek Tamaki, haven't seen him around for a while. Definera, obviously, featuring very well. We've got Kino Sarin in this team here with their unique equipment. An option if you need to put them on the team. If you can't build that fire team, we'd rather go with a wind setup. We've got our first use here of 6-star Kokoro with their unique equipment 2. It has been more than a month now that she's been out. Thought she wasn't going to be used, but she could be helpful against this Great Golem here. Orisa 2 coming back in, the 6-star Orisa, very handy. The team at the bottom there, Wakana, Spring Kyoka, Summer Misora, looks again to be slightly better of the two teams there. The New Year's Hatsune in the top one is obviously light with their unique equipment. We'll probably be seeing them again a little bit later. But there we go, some set and forget teams. Simple timelines for the Greater Golem again. Increases the damage a bit if you can run one of these timelines. Variations of the fire team, as we can see here. And then there is a couple of the wind compositions, mainly wind compositions down here at the bottom. We're getting here. I think the fire ones look like they are better. If you have a look at the timeline summary there for this boss, not that one, run right to the top. Here we go. We'll scroll down a bit. The timeline summary for this one. There's a few teams on here, but yes, the wind team. If you can run that manual timeline, 173 million, highest we're seeing here for Greater Golem. But other than that, it looks like the fire team is the way to go. So let's jump over and take on the Greater Golem with one of these teams. Right, so let's jump in then to Greater Golem. And I'm having to use this wind team because I don't have any of the fire characters needed to take on this boss. The Halloween Tomos, the Xmas Larials, even the Wild Matsuris, which means, let's get it quickly, how it's supposed to go. I'm going to have to try and use this team, but this team here is very, very unpredictable. And as you can see here, bam, everyone gets killed straight away. Not doing very good at all. When this team maybe you want to try and avoid if you can. Looks like you're going to have a really high skill tree to get it to survive. Hopefully you've got the fire characters that you need to take on this Greater Golem and can do a little bit better job than me, but unfortunately I don't think I'm going to be taking on Greater Golem this month. Let's move on to the next boss then and forget about all of this and move on onwards and upwards, eh? Righty-ho, let's have a look at our second boss this month, the Tough Guys. As we can see here, Tough Geist is weak to fire and to dark teams. So let's have a look here at some set and forget teams for Tough Geist automatic compositions here. And as we can see here, this is the boss that we're going to want to be using Medusa in if you manage to pull hair, or you can borrow hair. And we've got Yamato here a couple of times as well as the tank for this team. No Yamato slander, please. Grace as well, getting use on these dark physical teams. Ueda Mitsuki too. Nice to see some older characters being used. A few other variations of these teams here that are reported to do a little less. Other than that, we can go with some fire teams as well. Fubuki being one of the newer characters we've got. Astral Hiyori is coming up on the unique equipment, so she should be improved slightly next month. Kyo Saren again, also being useful if you do have them with their unique equipment. Let's have a look at some simple timelines there for Tough Geist. If we can get this fit on the screen, here we go. That same team there with extra damage if you can run this timeline here. Edomitsuki Medusa coming in here. Obviously this will be a multiple target boss when we get to them there. And then timelines here for fire variations of these teams. Do we have any more down here? We got a few others. This one not looking too bad. A bit of a mixture, this one, magical and physical. This one, it looks like the best of the timeline summary. What are we looking at the best for that boss? Yes, 173 million there with that physical team. Using Medusa in Yamato, Grace. And the fire teams, maybe it will be a secondary if you can't build one of those dark compositions. So let's jump over across then and see how I can do with one of these teams against the Tough Geist. Okay, so let's jump into our second boss this month here, Tough Geist. And unlike the Greater Golem, we do have the characters that we need to take on this boss. So we're going to go in here with, we can set it quickly. Oh my goodness me. There we go. With this dark physical team, which is supposedly the highest damage automatic team we have got at the moment, 154 million damage, somewhere around there is what we are expecting. And this is why I summoned 4 Medusa, because I wanted to try and build this multiple target dark physical team because I had a Yamato, no Yamato stand there. Thought we were going to need Medusa on the team so we can enable me to use the Yamato a little bit more. And as we can see here, that is the case. Edomitsuki being dusted off. Not been seen here used for a while. It's usually a PvP unit in the past, but nice to see some older characters here. Now, of course, as we have just seen, there are a few other variations of these teams. Eris and Summer Homari being brought on here. If you want to add a bit of magic in, if you don't have some of the other characters on this team. And there are fire compositions too that you can maybe use, like we said, Fubuki, another newer character. Multiple targets on fire will probably do a decent job if you want to go the fire route. So there we go. Much better this time, thankfully. What did we get there? 149 million. I've seen a little bit higher than that. Maybe fumbling at the beginning there didn't help. Medusa doing most of the damage there. Pretty good. Yamato for a tank. Not bad damage at all. So there we go. There is Tough Geist. Let's jump over then to our boss number 3. So let's have a look then at our third boss this month, Needle Creeper. Our friend Needle Creeper is back. As we can see here, Needle Creeper is weak to water and to light. So we don't have any automatic teams on Warrior Chefs at the moment. So we're going to jump over to Akarumi and have a little look at some auto teams that are suggested on here. As we can see, for this boss here, it will be advantageous to have the New Year's Saren, or if you want to run the water competition down there, the new Winter Cheru, again, the new characters featuring heavily in these clown battle teams. Looking like we can do some good damage here with these characters. The second team there with the New Year's hats there, she did get her unique equipment. And as we expected, she's still very good for these clown battle modes. We can jump back across here then and have a look at some timelines for Needle Creeper. There we go. And again, we can see similar teams here. These ones have got the Angel Yori tanking. Then we have got another water team here, which might be a little bit difficult for some people to build, but if you can build it, it's going to do some decent damage against this boss. Again, other variations of teams for Needle Creeper there. So let's just quickly go over at the timeline summary. Needle Creeper on here, and there are a few teams on this. Again, 161 million for a water physical team there. If you're going to run the light magical team, or mostly light magical team there, look at maybe 158 million. So let's go over and jump into the Needle Creeper and see how we do with one of these teams. Okay, so let's jump into our next boss here then, which is the Needle Creeper. And we're going to go here to take on Needle Creeper with this mixture of water and light team, magical team here. Quickly get it all set properly. Whew. And as we can see here, to take on this boss, we're going to have the New Year's Siren, who was only released earlier this month. Luckily I can borrow her because I don't have it, but I do have all the rest of the characters for this team. So hopefully we can build this team. Let's see how it goes. A few other characters are pretty new as well. Alchemist Nozomi here was only a few months old as well. Now if you can't build this team, there was, we just saw one other option. We have got a water physical team, but for that you're going to have the new Winter Cheru, who was out December, or be able to borrow her if you have all the rest of the characters for the team. Winter Cheru though does feature in boss fights, in teams for boss fights throughout this clan battle. Other bosses do use her, so there might be a little bit of a clash there, a little bit of an overlap. We have to think carefully whether you want to use Winter Cheru on this fight or not. There really wasn't too many other teams to use. A few other slight variations of the comps as we've just seen. And we're getting our Angel Yori here, going to have a little bit of a usage as well. Not being, I was saying, when Kururu came out, it was Kururu, we thought Kururu might be placed here, this Angel Yori, but here, because it's a single target fight, the Angel Yori here is still the better option as it looks. Maybe if the other people was multi-target or it was a multi-target boss, Kururu might have been in that place. But anyway, Angel Yori getting a little bit of a run. So there we go. 127 million, a little bit lower than what was reported, but the New Year's Siren there doing most of the damage there. Good DPS like we had already seen. So let's move over then to our fourth boss, this clown battle. Okay, so let's have a look at our fourth boss this month here, Basilisk Arasu, who, as we can see here, is weak to water and to dark, and it also attacks and hit flying enemies. So maybe the Altar Maiden, the fallen members of the Altar Maiden, maybe need to watch out a little bit. Let's see if any of those are in these teams. This time again, we're going to jump over to Akurumi. There are a few more automatic teams on here than there is on Warrior Chefs at the moment. And as we can see, it's a mixture here, well, mostly water at the top there, with Grace on the team. Going to need to have somewhat, again, a lot of the newer characters, the Winter Cheru, Grace, Summer Uriri, Princess Sheffy there. We do have a magical variation now. That's not doing too bad if you could have the New Year's Siren, the Alchemist Nozomi, a fire team, mostly fire team here again, using the Christmas L'Ariel. A few other options as well, quite a few options to be set there. We do have Riri in there for one of them, not one of the better teams though, according to this. Let's just jump over then and see if we've got any simple timelines for the Basilisk here. We do the same kind of team here. There's 207 million with that one. If you can build this team, 207 million, but you are going to have quite a few of the newer characters. I think that's it there. So let's just quickly go over the timeline summary for the Basilisk. Bring this up here. 213 million with a more complicated timeline. 207 million if you're going to run a simple manual timeline with that team. If you can build it, a lot of new characters there, which might be problematic for some. Otherwise, there are some simpler well, you need to have Winter Cheru. But look at this, you need Winter Cheru, or be able to borrow Winter Cheru to take on this boss here. So let's see if I can build a team and move in and see how we can do against the Basilisk. Okay, so let's jump into our fourth boss, this clan battle. And I'm going to go with this team here, which is a little bit strange. It's all off elements, well, apart from the summer Ameth. But this is one of these teams that you really do have to have the Winter Cheru and probably the Summer Riri as well to do big damage on this, and we can really do some real big damage on this boss. As you have just seen here, over 200 million damage if you can build that big team there, and fortunately I can't, otherwise we'd have been running it. There are the slight variations of that water team, all with the Winter Cheru on them. Did run one of them fully automatic like this one, and it didn't do quite as much damage, so hopefully we'll get a little bit more damage out of this team than we did with the Winter Cheru doing it fully auto. And again, we can see here how good the Christmas Lariel is, who is one of the banners that I'm actually going to be trying to maybe target as a return. As a rule, don't like summoning on returns banners, but she really is a very powerful character. I'm going to get to use Wehrman Lind as well, who well, we haven't really been able to use much of since I summoned for them. Perhaps when we finally get into the clown battle itself, we will probably try and use a water physical team with the Winter Cheru, which I could borrow with a timeline. That timeline team, a simple timeline, will probably do a bit more damage than this one. But we do have a few options there, perhaps. But what kind of damage are we getting here? As we can see, 122 million, which you wouldn't think is particularly bad. But when you can do over 200 million, if you can build that top team, it is quite a big difference there. But Xmas Lariel showing hair quality here again, off element, doing a pretty good job. So there we go. Let's jump over then to our last boss of this month. Okay, so let's look at our final boss of this month here, the Aquarius. And as you can see here, Aquarius is weak to wind and to light. So once again, let's jump over to Akarumi and have a little look at some of the automatic teams that we have got for Aquarius this month. 156 million potentially for this top team. Now this is the one, again, multiple targets. I thought I saw the infamous anemone team in here somewhere. I think it's in here. Maybe not doing quite as much as what it was originally thought it could do, but we have got an anemone in here. We're kind of, again, Winter Cheru. Few other full wind comps as well if you don't want to, or don't have the Winter Cheru there, which are doing decent automatic damage here. We have got, once again, we've got the New Year's moniker. New Year's moniker is actually potentially being used here if you can't build one of the better teams here. That's kind of interesting. A few light characters being brought into the mix as well. So there are a few options here to take on Aquarius with. Let's jump over then and have a little look at some simple timelines, if we can find them here. Not quite fitting on the screen, but we've got 178 million here with this team here. Again, with Winter Cheru, Anemone. Maybe there's going to be a little bit of overlap, having to decide who we're borrowing and who we are not borrowing, because we might be able to run all of these teams. 164, 183. Well, that's not got a timeline quite yet. But there we go. This is the infamous Anemone team here, but it's still 160 million if you can run this timeline with it. Not bad at all. Possibly an option there. There we go. New Year's moniker again being new. So let's have a look at the timeline summary for, just fitting on the screen there, for Aquarius. 219 million again. We're getting some really high numbers. Yes, this, sure. So yes, I saw it somewhere. This team here, with the right timeline, this Anemone team with the right timeline, doing serious damage to the boss. Otherwise, it looks like you need to have Winter Cheru again. Still some pretty high numbers here. If not, there are a few other options at the bottom. So let's see what I can build to take on Aquarius with, and let's see how we do. Okay, so we are moving on into our final boss Aquarius, and let's jump in and see how we can do there. We're going to go in with this team here, which is the top automatic team. Now, whatever set apart from Nefi Nera there, if my mouse will work. Okay, so let's see how this team does. We're looking to be around 156 million. And once again, Winter Cherry. This is the third boss. Potentially be using Winter Cherry on sort of the, like I said, possibly a little bit of overlap there that we're going to have to plan for where we're going to use that Winter Cherry. So this team here, we're going to run it automatic manually. If you run the manual timeline, can do some big damage, as well as the Anemone team, a traditional Anemone team with a Cinderella Maho, the Nenica and Amethyst Eris. If you could run the timelines with them, we're getting some real big damage on this boss. Again, over 200 million damage. Absolutely crazy. So one thing that is sure, for this boss, you're going to need an Anemone. He's going to be somewhere on that team. If you don't have her or you can't borrow her, maybe this is not going to be a boss that you're going to want to be taking on. There was another team that didn't do too bad as we saw there, that was full wind, with Monica, Princess, Kokoro, Shiori 6-star and the 6-star Suzume. Didn't do too badly, but this, just if you're going to run a full auto team like this, really definitely did a bit more damage. Again, we mentioned her, the New Year's Monica, the free-to-play character, is a potential character you could use on there. There is one team with her, nice to see, but like we said, Anemone, either this team or the traditional Anemone team with the timelines, you could do some real serious damage to this boss. So let's quickly look at there again. Anemone definitely top dog for this fight. So there we go, that is Clan Battle for January 2025. Good luck to everybody out there. Hopefully you can do well in your battle. Thanks so to the people that are responsible for coming up with these timelines and these spreadsheets for us to all have a look at. Without them, I think Clan Battle would be a lot more difficult. So there we go, I am Tokkuri Yashi. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all again for another video. Bye 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 bye. Hey, hey, hey.